Welcome to the only daily podcast focusing on compliance news of the day. Each morning, start your day with a cup of coffee and Tom Fox, the voice of compliance, to hear about 4 of the top compliance, corruption, or leadership stories you will need to start your day. The Daily Compliance News is a production of the Compliance Podcast Network.
The Daily Compliance News for May 6, 2021, the Facebook ban edition. We begin with that story from the Wall Street Journal, as Facebook has upheld the ban on Donald Trump for his incitement of the insurrection of January 6th. However, it was done by the Facebook Oversight Board. It gave Facebook 6 months to determine whether Trump should be permanently banned and put the company in line to more clearly articulate its rules for prominent individuals and develop penalties for violators. It noted that there was not transparency, but opaqueness in the process. So Facebook created the Oversight Board to independently rule on difficult issues, but Wednesday's decision clearly was a win for Facebook, and that actually a win for America, so we don't have to listen to Trump try to incite future riots. But Facebook does have to revisit this issue in 6 months. The fallout was predictable. Republicans going crazy and saying that they want to regulate a private company that makes a business decision in a way that is antithetical to certainly anything conservative. Next up, it looks like the NRA made a huge mistake going into bankruptcy. As in a rare move, the U.S. trustee, part of the Justice Department, called not only for the dismissal of the bankruptcy, but the appointment of an outside monitor. This probably ended the NRA's hopes of ending a long-running legal challenge from New York. The U.S. trustee said that in part, evidentiary record clearly and convincingly establishes that the NRA longtime executive failed to provide proper oversight. The record is unrefuted that Wayne LaPierre, the president's personal expenses, were made to look like business expenses. So LaPierre's Hail Mary to throw the NRA into bankruptcy to avoid sanctions in New York looks like it may totally backfire. If there is a monitor or a trustee appointed, it will be the death knell of the NRA because it can't run without being corrupt. Next up, from the Financial Times, the Swiss prosecutor leading the FIFA inquiry has been ordered to step down. Somehow FIFA was able to engender the dismissal of the lead prosecutor investigating this. The supervisory board responsible for appointing the prosecutor said it would discuss the ruling with the Parliamentary Judicial Committee and decide what to move forward. But clear win for FIFA. They obviously don't want to be investigated yet again, and they may have gotten their wish this time. And we conclude with not work from home, but return to work, as Goldman Sachs has told most of its employees that it wants them back in the office by June. Other companies obviously have had more flexible standards, but Goldman Sachs says, no, you have to come back to the office. Jamie Dimon over at JP Morgan and Chase said it expects employees to start coming back May 17, and by July, it will be fully employed, or rather fully staffed back at the office. So several of the big investment banks now have said this, and they'll go back to the office. The Daily Compliance News is a production of the Compliance Podcast Network and a proud member of C-Suite Radio. Thanks so much for listening. I hope you'll join me again tomorrow.